All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you remain standing for a moment, please, for a moment of silence for two people that put a lot of time in with the city of Middletown over the years, and they've passed away, Gene Courier and Nick Scally. Thank you. Thank you. Be seated, please. Roll call.
Ramkissoon.
Here.
Tobin.
Here.
Kleiner.
Here.
Johnson is absent. John Francois.
Here.
Burr.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Massey.
Here.
President Rodriguez is absent. And we have a quorum.
Approval of minutes.
Tonight we have the minutes from the council meeting of June 1st, 2021.
I need a motion. Motion by Alderman Tobin, second by Alderman Green. Any comments or questions? Roll.
Ramkissoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes.
Correspondence?
Nothing this evening.
All right, for the good of the city, but two things. One, there's a limit. I'm going to give you 3 minutes or so. And two, no personal attacks or you're gone. Anyone that wants to address this council, please come forward, state your name, and say what you have to say.
I shouldn't be here. I'm emotional. I wanted to talk about opting out, but not anymore, because yesterday night someone broke into my home. We installed a couple more cameras, but I am furious. I live on 10X Prospect Avenue, which is next to the barber shop that was swatted on July 4th. But the record hasn't reported on anything, and Middletown PD has also been silent on the issue, leaving a critical information gap. Apparently, someone got stabbed at the chicken place and ran into the barbershop, but I heard other things like there were drugs or a body inside, or if it was really a barbershop, or if it was just a drug raid. Regardless, it was the brave men and women of Middletown PD who took control of the situation, and I thank them. That being said, I, however, do find our priorities as a city absolutely ridiculous when comparing to other police departments and factoring inflation. We are effectively defunding the police right now when we need them the most. And but is it okay for our political leaders to give themselves a pay raise at the last minute? And of course, we didn't get a public referendum on that. And instead of focusing on the real criminals, we are focusing on fireworks. Like, really? Is this America? Check the Middletown PD media, and all you see is about fireworks and puppies instead of the new shooting or stabbing that happened of the week. The record doesn't even report it no more. That's how common it's been. I'm glad someone finally declared it a state of emergency today. No wonder police are retiring in record numbers. Our priorities and the laws are misguided. And are we really trying to ban marijuana dispensaries and cafes, but we allow a power plant to move in? The pollution isn't only physical, but moral too. From the fire station selling drugs to the courtrooms. I mean, I recently had a court case in Middletown, and for some reason I wasn't able to get the police cam footage, but at least we got the audio. Then the judge didn't even listen to the audio. Is this justice? No, unfortunately, justice is different for people of power and money. I mean, even Bill Cosby is out, and Joe is still mayor. I know there's a lot of you that don't agree on everything I say, but there's at least some truth in the words I say. This place should be a marketplace of ideas and policies that should be based on evidence, but unfortunately, this isn't. And our freedoms of expressions are being banned in every sectors of our lives. And policies that should be led by evidence are led by personalities instead. And for the record, I never denied being the baddest guy in Middletown. But who are we afraid of? Who are we afraid of? We aren't afraid of corrupt politicians no more, and it's showing. But the corruption isn't just Republicans or Democrats. The corruption is both parties. It's big money. But what gives me a slight measure of hope is the new generation. But will it be too late? Last thing, if y'all ban marijuana dispensaries and force us to get signatures and to petition to overturn the decision, you better believe in that petition we will also demand for the mayor's resignation. Thank you.
I'm assuming you're going to leave. That's the gentleman, by the way, and he brought it up, so I may not have, but that court case he was talking about last Wednesday, I happened to be down in court at the time. He had a trial. He was found guilty of urinating on Fireman Joe's statue down right down the street from here. That's the character that you just witnessed. So when you hear him come up, throw all these stones, and of course runs out, I want you to be aware, and he brought up that trial, and he was found guilty. All right, anyone else want to address? Hold on. Anyone online?
Not at this time.
Remarks of the mayor.
Well, he's always a tough act to follow. But that is the definition of why we do a lot of things that we do here. As Mr. Massey said, and I think I'm going to get into it in part of my presentation, is who do we listen to in Middletown? And certainly Mr. Alexi there, as Mr. Massey said, was just arrested and convicted of urinating on, not just in public, but urinating on a statue, a memorial to our firemen in our city and to our emergency workers, and was found guilty of doing it and fined. But it speaks to his character. But first, I'd like to address the issue of illegal fireworks and what we all experienced over the last few days, and the fact that we had a lot of angry people, and rightfully so. And I just wanted to let you know that on the board you'll see the amount of calls from 2020 to 2021. They were relatively the same for the 5-day period, and these are calls into the police station. But what you'll look at is the number of arrests. And the number of arrests were 3 for 2020, and for 2021, 32. The police were very active. We had a huge presence on, many of them in undercover units, and that's why we were able to successfully make so many arrests, because the police literally have to, there's a standard before they can issue a summons. And it's not the fact that you called and said that there are fireworks in my neighborhood. That's not the standard that the police can go by. They have to actually see somebody in possession of or lighting them off. And so I want to compliment the chief and his staff. I know Sergeant Welch, I think, was on part of the detail. But every neighborhood in the city was impacted. And I'm just going to read the streets where we did make arrests. So I'll give you an idea that people were in your neighborhood. And by arrest, you understand that these are not physical arrests. They're not allowed to take people in. They are issued an appearance ticket to go into court. A year or two ago, we did change the local law, imposing imposing a minimum fee, a minimum fine, I think, of $250 and a maximum fine of up to $1,000. And we also have changed it so the rather than going through the Orange County District Attorney's Office, who are busy really prosecuting bigger crimes, that we use our local attorney, our local corporation counsel. So while it may not be a serious matter, as serious of a matter, obviously it isn't, as some of the major felony crimes that the Orange County prosecution, DA prosecutes, to us it's an important thing. So we made that change. That gave the incentive for the police to issue more violations. And so we made arrests on Wilcox, Wickham, a couple on Wickham, Cornelia Street, Concord Lane, Academy Avenue, Martin Street, Grove Street, Montgomery Street, State Street, West Main, a few on West Main, Margaret Terrace, Allerton Avenue, Mill Street, Vincent Drive, West Main again, Sproat, California, Wickham, Waverly, Sproat again, California, Ingalls, Grand, Mills, Houston, Beatty, Bunnell, and East Main Street. And that's where the arrests were made. So I know there was a big social media push where people were some people, although many were very complimentary of the police reaction, some were very angry. They felt that the police weren't doing enough. And I can assure you that I did take some time to speak to other mayors in the area, and all you had to do was watch the news, and you can see that this is not a Middletown thing. That this shows you that the unintended consequences of certain legislation. And a few years ago, the state decided to make fireworks, quote, legal. And we all know that legal doesn't mean the fireworks that are being set off. They're mostly ground fireworks and other types of things that produce a lot of smoke, but not a lot of noise. But people don't know the law to that extent, and they believe what they're buying in Pennsylvania they can use here, and they just go on with it. So the unintended consequences of the state generating this revenue is that local people have to deal with it. Our pets, our veterans, our elderly people, people who have illness and smoke. I can understand if you're in Greenville and you're on a farm or way beyond the parts of it, that it doesn't bother you. Right? And it's true. I don't care what you do. But when you're in a neighborhood with 50, 75-foot lots and your neighbor is impacted by the smoke that's being generated, it does become a quality of life and a safety issue. So that's why we're so responsive to it. So we're going to continue with, we're looking at additional ways to enforce it. It's not a minor thing to many. Matter of fact, I think if you saw over the weekend, the goalie for the Columbus Blue Jackets, I think their name is, he died in a fireworks accident, a professional hockey player. So there are, a lot of dangers with it, but from a local government, we have a responsibility to respond on behalf of our constituents. The police did a good job, and the number of arrests indicate that. We will follow up with prosecutions on each and every case. I spoke to Mr. Smith this morning and assured him that I would like him to make sure that there's no plea offers, that we do prosecute every case, that seeking at least the minimum $250 fine, and that and if we had frequent calls to the property, that we would seek more. And then we're going to look at other legislation in the future. Moving on, we did have the public hearing on June 15th, and we did have quite a few comments from the public. I believe 13 people between in-person and online. We did discuss the dispensaries, on-site cafes. We made it perfectly clear that medical marijuana is not impacted whatsoever in this process, although many of the speakers tried to use that as a wedge to say that we were trying to impact people's right to have medical marijuana. Not true. We talked about the opt-in and opt-out, what it means, that if we opt out, we can opt back in at any point, but if we stay in, we're in forever. And we pointed out that there were no rules and regulations, and in my opinion, for us to stay into a program that we have no choice after a certain cutoff date to get out once we see the rules and regulations and the management of the Cannabis Control Board, that it makes, to me, makes no sense for us to take that risk and jeopardize it. So we made it clear that we do support portions of the law and are not asking for the law to be rescinded, that we support at least I support the records expungement. People who were charged with low-level marijuana crimes and that served prison or have convictions on their records, those records should be expunged. And to me, that was the most important part of the legislation. That is the social justice part of the legislation. It's not the ability to sell marijuana in a neighborhood and to reinvest, to tax people and then sell and direct the sale of substance, of a regulated substance into certain neighborhoods, I don't think you call that social justice. I think that's bad policy. I think the social justice would be using those tax revenues to create opportunities for those people in those neighborhoods other than the opportunity to purchase marijuana. So the idea would be to decriminalize and to make sure that that those who have been convicted in the past have their records expunged. And that, of course, is the social justice part of the argument. Where I do oppose, and what I do oppose and continue to do so in the legislation, absolutely oppose it, is the public consumption. Many made the comparisons that night for alcohol and marijuana. Well, they are not the same. First of all, you cannot walk down into a bar and then walk out of the bar drinking, holding your drink or drinking your drink down Main Street. So there is a main difference there. That's called the public consumption part. We have a local law that prohibits it. It's from part of the open container or public consumption, and it's not legal to do it with alcohol, nor should it be legal to do with marijuana. So I absolutely oppose that part, and I have moved on to say, then, as a community, who do we listen to? Do we listen to Lexi Fernandez, the guy who spoke earlier, who also spoke last week, and the craziness that he spews at this mic every time he comes here? Do we listen to the Long Island people who called in on the last meeting and told the chief that the chief of police of our city to mind his own business, that it's not his business what people do in Middletown in regards to marijuana consumption? Or do we listen to the guy from Dutchess County, the group of, I think they identify themselves as libertarians, that was here advocating that the city not do what I had proposed we do, is an opt-out. And I think one of them who came was also a candidate for alderman here in the city of Middletown, Mr. Ayala. I think he identified himself as a candidate, or one of the speakers after him identified him as a candidate. Or the guy from the town of Wallkill, who's also running for office, Mr. McLean. Is that who we listen to? Or do we listen to, I don't know who you are getting feedback from as alderman. I know who I'm getting feedback from. And I'm getting feedback from Mr. and Mrs. Jones with the 5-year-old kid that goes to the park and doesn't want to smell marijuana while they're there with their kid in the park. Or the business person who's downtown, or the gentleman that was interviewed on Spectrum and said, no, I don't think it's good. I'm trying to promote my business to a family-friendly business, and I don't want people smoking weed out in front of my business or walking down the street. So that's going to be the decision of you as a board, is who are you going to listen to? Are you going to look at this big argument, this statewide argument? Because the social argument, the social justice argument has been made. It's in the law and it won't change. So what I've continued to do since the passing of the law is I've initiated efforts with State Senator Martucci and Assemblywoman Gunther on the opt-out and a change, hopefully, an amendment to the state law. Both have expressed an interest in listening to what I had to say, and I'm hoping that the two of them, one in the Senate and one in the Assembly, will sponsor some type of amendment or change to the state law that would do the same thing they did with fireworks. When the state passed the fireworks law, if you recall, there was no local opt-out option. There was talk about it, but eventually we got it included, and we were able to opt out as a community of the sale and the use of fireworks within the city. I believe both the senator and the assemblywoman understand the issue quite well and how it impacts a community like Middletown. As I said, different things for different communities. There are rural communities that maybe it doesn't impact as much, but for a community like Middletown, I believe it's the best option not to have the public consumption of marijuana on our public streets. So moving forward, I'm going to continue to work with both the senator and Assemblywoman Gunther. I'm going to wait for the rules to be adopted by the State Cannabis Board, and I'm going to support and continue to support the positive parts of what I believe the law brought forth, which is the expungement of the records and other, basically the decriminalization. I don't necessarily agree with having 5 pounds of pot in your house as, for personal use, but I guess that's something that the law enforcement community can deal with. But as far as this public consumption part, I think it's critical to how we as a community move forward. So I'm asking the council, we've heard from the public. I'm sure that you've heard from your constituents. I'm asking you to opt out on July 20th. There are many communities around New York State that are going to be doing the same thing, that are in the process. I think Watertown was just getting a lot of media on it. There's a whole host of communities on Long Island, many areas that are family-friendly areas that really don't want people smoking pot on their public streets, because when you're drinking a beer is one thing. You don't impact the guy next to you. But when you're smoking pot, it does impact the guy next to you, impacts the family next to you. Every person who I had an exchange with on social media, when I asked, and one of them was perfectly, was really honest. I said, do you want your child, because I know he had a child, when you're standing on the corner in downtown Middletown, to be exposed to a group of people smoking marijuana? And he said, no, I won't put my kid in that position. I said, well, number one, you might not have that choice because you're going to be there and if they come. But number two, look at it this way. You look at it as you protecting your kid. I said, our responsibility as a legislative body and as a city government is to look at everybody's kids. The kids that not with his parents, the kids at the skate park that people are standing 10 feet away and smoking pot. That's not good for a community. It's not good for the kid. It's not good for society. If you want to smoke pot in your house, I don't care what you do. I don't really care if you smoke it till your eyes turn blue. I don't care, or green, or whatever color they're going to turn when you do it. But you do not have a right to impose that smoke and that secondhand effect onto my grandchildren, onto your grandchildren, onto your kids, or onto somebody else's kids. And that's what it comes down to on the public consumption part. So we as a community need to move forward. We need to send a message. We need to make sure we listen to the right people. And if you think that the majority of the people that came to that public hearing and spoke at the public hearing are representative of this community, I think you're on the wrong path. They are not. This guy, this crazy guy that keeps coming here every couple of weeks, this Lexi, and speaking and talking and ranting and rambling and insulting, he is not reflective of this community. This is a strong, diverse community. People have goals for their kids. People have goals for their grandchildren. And having a marijuana cafe around the corner and people walking down the street smoking pot, as my kid's grandchild is at the skate park, is not what I see as the best thing for Middletown. You guys have the choice, but keep in mind, if you don't opt out, it's your responsibility to tell me through city code where you're going to place these facilities. Are you going to put them in the first ward, Mr. Massey, the second ward, Mr. Green, the third ward, Kate and Paul and Mr. Tobin, and the fourth ward? What neighborhoods are you going to place these in? Are you going to put it at the intersection of West Main Street, where we had a problem with a bar a few years ago? It took us 2 years to get rid of the bar, the Rumba, I think it was called. We fought with the state liquor authority, the bureaucracy of a liquor authority, and the cannabis board is going to be the same thing. It's the same bureaucracy. You have no local control once you license these things. Are you going to put it in your neighborhood? Are you going to put it in your ward? Tell me where if you decide not to opt out. Be honest about it. If you're not in support of it, be honest. Tell me where you're going to put it. Then I can go back to the same people who lived in Middletown that came here. And Mr. Harnick spoke, who lives on Sunnyside Avenue. He said that Mr. Massey and I were trying to bully him into a position. No, we were only informing him that we had an inquiry about a property right behind his house, a property that he has constantly complained about. That's not bullying him, that's telling him the truth. A commercial section. And his response was to say, well, that's the police job. No, it's not the police job. That will be a private parking lot, and if marijuana use is permitted, you could smoke pot in that private parking lot, as long as the private property owner says it's okay, especially if they're the dispensary or they're the cafe site. So there's many things to look at. The state took the big picture. We have to take the micro now. It's our responsibility to look at the micro, the impact on our residents. But the bottom line is, if you don't support it, tell me where. Tell me where you want to put it, and I'll keep fighting it all the way. But in the meantime, we need to make plans. We need to make plans how we're going to move forward. My idea of moving forward is opting out, examining, reviewing, trying to change some state law, and then possibly open to some dispensary, commercial dispensaries in some of the high traffic areas. But as for on-site cafes and public consumption, I'm absolutely opposed. So that's my spew on marijuana. The next is street paving. Many people have commented on the amount of street paving we're doing, and that's because we've tripled it this year. And we're using some of the ARPA monies, and of course last year our paving was limited, if we did much at all. So it's taking us a longer time. You know, the milling machine costs a lot to rent, so we do all the milling first, and then we come back and do the paving. We're into the second ward now. First ward is complete, so we should be done within a couple weeks. I want to thank DPW, the DPW crew, Mark Pengel and Ross and all their staff. You know, it's pretty tough being outside in 95-degree weather, but it's really tough to be out in 95-degree weather and handling hot asphalt. So thank you to them for their dedication and work, and also the company that's working with them. Update on the pools. We have one pool open. That's not, oh, that is it. Is that Davidge? That is Davidge. Yeah, we changed the slide. Or no, it's the same, maybe, I don't know. Well, we had, Maple Hill is not open, Sprout is not open. Davidge is, it's been a pretty good occupancy. It's getting used. We didn't have lifeguards. We usually have over 20 lifeguards full-time for the summer. We have 7. We do have some part-time lifeguards, and they interviewed a few more today. You know, the salary range is up around 13 to someone, it's basically based on age because of their working hours too. So they're going up to $16, $17 an hour. So I don't think it's money. We offered training, we offered license, you know, to give them the courses, but for some reason we didn't have a lot of success. But every community is having the same problem, especially places that have beaches and lakes and rivers. So we're thankful that we were able to open the 2 pools. And one of the reasons why is Chris, our superintendent, Chris Brinkerhoff, and Ray Lynn, her deputy, are both certified lifeguards. So they can keep the pools working if need be. So we're very lucky to have them in those positions and certified. And lastly is COVID and the COVID cases. And it's been stabilized, but it's not over. So you can see that we were number 2, I believe, countywide with almost 4,500 or 4,800 cases within the city since the beginning, positive cases. We have a population of 28,000, so you're looking at about 20% of our population was impacted by COVID. And also with COVID, we, as you know, we did end the community care package program. Those were the home deliveries of food that started in March of 2020. Many people generously donated to the program. We did use some of our city funds or CDBG funds through Ms. Bruni's program. And so in the end, we served 339 families and delivered 2,328 food packages. This is not just one meal. These are absolute packages. So compliments to Nicole and the program coordinator, and also to the recreation staff who worked with the Middletown Police Department and also the school district. And that doesn't include the school district packages, by the way, or other not-for-profit packages. So they did a great job. So COVID is still a threat to health and safety. Remember, we sent out a memo today telling people they have to remember, and we all make the same mistake, walking in the public areas of City Hall, you must have a mask on. In the offices, assuming that all the people that are in the office have been vaccinated, they don't have to wear the mask. But if someone objects to that, then they do. But the public coming in, and that's only because we've worked out with the union where our employees have been able to submit proof of vaccination, so we're a little bit more lax within the offices. I know some people have said, well, I come in, you make me wear a mask, but I look behind at the desk and someone's not wearing a mask. And that's because they've demonstrated proof of vaccination to us. We are not going to man the doors and demand proof of vaccination. We're just going to have anyone in public areas at City Hall need to have a mask on and go by the rules that we set for admission into the building. And also the sanitation, it's an add-on. We have brochures describing the program. We're still getting quite a few violators. The garbage has to be in the container. If you call my office, we will mail you a copy of the brochure with the directions. But you need to remember all trash has to be in the containers. There's no overflow if you're constantly in need of more space out in the week. These are 95-gallon cans, basically equivalent to 3 normal garbage cans. Then you need to purchase an additional one. It's $100 a year. You can do so here at City Hall. As I said, I purchased an additional MSW can, garbage can, and our cart, and also the recycling cart. We've had others have done it, but probably 95% of the people are working it with the carts that have been sent out. We will have additional pickup at around holiday time. So we're working on what holidays we're going to do that. The trucks, Jacob explained to the committee tonight that the first truck is now in from the manufacturer to the distributor. They're putting it together now to accommodate our needs here. So shortly we'll be doing some routes with one truck. We ordered 3. It's $1 million, $1 million for the carts. So it's a program we've committed to, we're dedicated to, and people need to comply. Every community, most communities across this country now are doing something similar, either through private carting or municipal pickup. It's to protect our workers, and it's also to keep the community cleaner, and there's a lot of benefits to it. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Anyone have a question for the mayor? Alderman Burr.
Mayor, now you were letting them use the blue can as garbage. Now that is over?
Yes, that was over as of June 13th. We will be doing that during the holiday time.
All right, just to explain, because last week, a lot of people put it
Yeah.
out, and it had garbage.
Yeah, we try to do a lot of
Didn't get
social
picked.
media push on that.
Yeah.
It wasn't as effective as we thought it would be, so we did do sending inspectors out. And the only way we could do it is by sending them out the next day, going to the houses. And one stopped at my home, just for public disclosure, and he had the wrong address. He had the wrong street. He had the right number, but he had the wrong street. But no, you can't put out the blue container at this time, only for recycling. Strictly green for garbage, blue for recycling. And if you need additional can for a lot of times during the year, spend the $100. I know some people think it's a money-making thing for us. It's not, but we need to control the flow. We also need to control a lot of garbage coming in from outside the community. That's another way to doing it. And we also need to keep the city cleaner. And it's working. Neighborhoods that are really complying, you can see the difference on the streets.
And it is a very easy process. You come in, you go to DPW, they send you down to finance, you pay the $100, and they have the can delivered the next day.
We deliver the can, correct.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Remarks, Department Head. Economic Development. Maria Bruni, please. Yes, absolutely.
I failed to introduce my intern, Kayla. Say hello to Kayla. Kayla is working with us in City Hall this summer. She is going to be a senior at Middletown High School and dreams of going to Howard University next year. So
Terrific.
she's
Thank
doing
you.
some work for us on some papers that are going to be very interesting when you see her the work that she's going to produce by the end of the summer.
Do you type? That's new to the office. Oh, I'll get it tomorrow. Maria, please.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to comment on the legal fireworks that were done the other night. It actually felt good to start some semblance of our programs that we did pre-COVID. I'd like to thank the police department, the chief, Sergeant Welch, Lieutenant Khalil, and the whole team that was out that night. The fire department, Fire Inspector Atkins, Parks Department, DPW. I mean, it's, as you all know, it's a team effort to put these on. And of course, we had some minor weather interruptions, but everybody was having a good time and we were able to pull them off. And again, thanks to everybody, and thanks everybody that came out and supported. It was a fun evening. Some more signs of things that are getting somewhat back to normal. As you see tonight on the resolution for Run for Downtown to close the streets and some other items for that, August 21st. It's going to be the run, and it's going to be modified, obviously, because of COVID and guidelines and stuff. So the run will take place on August 21st. We're working towards the summer concert series. Hopefully, I'll have an announcement. We'll be starting fairly soon on that. And the Paramount, as we start to wrap up the construction, we would like to resume movies sometime this month. So we're working towards bringing back some of these programs and doing it safely and, keeping everybody healthy while we do it. So that's all I have for this evening.
Any questions for Maria? Maria, thank you very much. Fire Chief, Mr. Barber?
Good evening. To date, we have 418 alarms. We still are anticipating having our parade October 2nd. Huguenot Fire Department was finally took possession of the Scott packs that we donated to them that were outdated to us. And I guess our restoration company had it all wrong. They thought it was the concrete rotting out the base to Fireman Joe. I guess it was Mr. Fernandez. Maybe he could pay a portion to have it restored. That's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions for the Fire Chief? Thank you, Fire Chief. Commissioner of Public Works, Jacob Twill, please.
Good evening, all. We'll start off with the reservoirs. Alderman Massey, Acting Council President, they're in very good shape. They're almost 100% full. With this rain, I'm sure we'll be fine. We'll be at full capacity. The high grass, we have sent 847 letters out for the people. About 800 of them responded to our letter, and they cut their own grass. So we cut about 59 properties so far, private properties, and we charged them about $12,850. And again, I want to thank the people who responded to our letter by cutting their grass themselves, because we don't want to cut anybody's grass. We just want people to comply with the code and cut their own grass. The paving, the mayor mentioned the paving. It's really a taxing project in there, but that's what DPW does, and the work is doing very well. The subcontractor is moving very fast. Our guys in the street department, the mayor mentioned Mark and Ross, and everybody in the street department, they're doing a great job. Brian Smith and his crew also, they are doing a great job in the water and sewer department by chasing after, staying ahead of the pavers, adjusting the manholes and valves, and also the catch basins being rebuilt in many of these streets by the street department. So everybody's working extra hard, including our contractor, and it's 90-degree temperature out there, very humid. It's really taxing to all of them. So I know the mayor mentioned it, but I do want to mention it again because I want to thank them and all of them, the private and the public, and our own employees for all the work they're doing. Very much appreciated. And afterwards, we go drive around and find out if there is any ponding, any issues in there, especially after the rain. And then I meet in the morning with the contractor, and we go over it, how to treat it, how to handle it, and all that stuff. So some areas we may have to go back to smooth and eliminate the ponding, but that will be taken care of. But that's the nature of the beast. When you have an old city, we have very little reveal by the curb, and we have relatively high crown, and it's a balancing act, and it's very hard really to get it done, get it straight at the first shot, but they're doing a great job, and I'm very happy and thankful for them. The water line project, the water main project, again, people say, Jacob, you jump in the middle of the picture and then you start talking about it, telling us where you are, but I don't want to make my presentation too long. So the water main project, especially from Alderman Massey. So the water main projects in there, again, we're replacing one main, the 12-inch high-pressure water main. It goes back to 1887. That's the date stamped on the pipe. We're replacing that part of, we're going from the water treatment plant all the way to Davidge Park expansion with that 12-inch water line. I reported to the council via emails and the mayor, of course, that this commissioning of the new water main, the 12-inch water main, has been done, and we decommissioned or eliminated or abandoned the 12-inch water line that runs right in the middle of the park expansion, which is what we were worried about. Once we finish the park, spend all this money for the park and the field, and then we have water main break right under the brand new field. So now we don't have to worry about it because that section of the pipe has been abandoned, and we commissioned the new pipe that goes around the park now. It doesn't go through it. The other leg of the water main project is the 24-inch high-pressure water main. I reported to you before that we were having issues. We were stopped because there's an abandoned gas main by Orange and Rockland right in the State Road in 211 and in the City Road. It's in our way. They say it is contaminated. It has to be removed by a contractor, specialty contractor, and they wanted us to pay about $330 per lineal foot of pipe just to remove it, to remove a 6-inch old gas main, which is ridiculous. Orange and Rockland, they will not charge the city once they do the work inside city line, but outside city line, they wanted to charge us. So we scrambled and we went through and we came up with an alternate design, which we will put the 24-inch pipe on private property. So we obtained easements. We'll have them before you next council meeting to authorize the mayor to sign them and accept the easements. The property owners, they're very, very happy to cooperate and help us out. They all signed the easements, so we're ready to go. And that's a major step for us, because otherwise we were just waiting delay after delay, and now we were going to get with heavy charges from Orange and Rockland, and we were not going to take that. So we came up with the alternate design. We met at the field, and now we're going to be pursuing that. In return, we're going to get brand new sidewalk. We're going to put the water main, most of it, under the sidewalk, which means we're going to get a brand new sidewalk from City Line all the way along almost up to our park on Manhagan Avenue. The park meaning the former psychiatric center. So all that's going to be a brand new sidewalk because of this project, because the water main is going to go under the existing sidewalk. Disappointing what happened with Orange and Rockland, but we got to move forward, and that's it is what it is. The $20 million project for the traffic operations, we're hoping to put it out for bid by the end of this month, early next month, and we're very excited about it, and that will connect the ADA curbs and sidewalks. That was done, the project. You have curbs and sidewalks all over. Once we do this traffic operation, that will connect the whole curbs and sidewalks together. We'll have continuity in there. And with that, I will conclude my remarks. Anybody have any questions for me?
Commissioner Twill?
Yeah, Commissioner, on behalf of Sparrow and I, and Fourth Ward constituents, we want to thank you, the mayor, and everyone that was involved with the sidewalk on Dawson Avenue. It was a wonderful job. Great job. Thank you.
very much. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Public hearings and grievances,
Nothing this evening.
petitions and complaints,
Nothing this evening.
remarks of the Alderman. Alderman Tobin.
Yes, thank you for the sidewalks. I also, missed the pass, or Gene Carrier and Nick Scaller, both Lions, and, many a dinner with them, and will be missed. I just want to comment on the Orange County IDA. I know that if you read in the papers, the corruption that was exposed, and maybe it's time for the county to look for a comptroller. I know in Dutchess County they have a comptroller, and in Ulster County they have a comptroller. It took, I think it was legislator Donaldson to kind of blow the whistle that something wasn't going on that was correct, that all the contracts seemed to be going to the same company, and that there was people that weren't had connections and were making money off of the project that should have been explained. So. That's our money and that's our public trust, and I think, we might have to take a look at how the Orange County IDA works to avoid, this kind of corruption in the future. And I think that was something that shouldn't happen again. That's it.
Alderman Green.
Thank you. On the 12th, so next Monday, there will be a second ward constituents meeting. Alderman Kleiner will be taking it solo. It is my anniversary, so I better not back out of that one. But I appreciate that. That'll be 7 p.m. here in City Hall. Also, I did just want to make note that I was not here for the public hearing on the proposed local law. And I thank Alderwoman Ramkasoon for relaying my message that I did have a medical emergency I was dealing with that evening. I did watch that night, and I have gone back and rewatched and appreciate the comments from everyone. Thank you very much. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Alderwoman Ramkasoon.
Happy anniversary, Mr. Green. I just wanted to say briefly on paving, Jacob, you guys are doing, outstanding work under pretty rough conditions with the heat we've been having, and we are going to have again this week. So my thanks to all the guys who are working hard on that, in-house and out. I have to speak briefly because, after the mayor's presentation, I have actually gotten a lot of feedback after our last meeting and the public hearing on marijuana, and all of it was in support of our city's legislature being cautious, choosing to opt out with the knowledge that we can wait for regulations and decide what we are willing to opt into, and that is definitely and makes good sense. Even for people who are in full support of everything on that list, understand the need for caution when there is nothing written for us. So just a reminder on what it is we're doing here and protecting the interests of our entire city. That's our job. But the feedback that I have received from my constituency, and they are never shy on sharing their opinions, is that they're supportive and understanding of what it is that we've been trying to do. So I just wanted to speak on that briefly, and that's really all I have this evening. Thank you.
Alderman Kleiner.
Thank you, Acting Council President Massey. Fireworks, we heard a lot. Well, we heard a lot of fireworks. we heard a lot about the fireworks. We saw the news that evening, and the streets of New York City were a mess. I mean, people understand that the state made sparkling devices, sparklers, little things that go poof. None of the exploding fireworks are legal. I look at it as, last year with the pandemic, it was kind of a lost year, and I think people were looking at a lot of, people had said July 4th was the time for really opening out and opening up, and so I think there was a lot of pent up, wanting to celebrate. It's the wrong way to celebrate. It's completely illegal. It's disrespectful to the city, to our laws, to your neighbor, but there is a lot of lawlessness going on now. So I thank the police because I think they did an excellent job considering. We didn't bother calling because we knew so many people would be calling, and it's not a surprise to anyone that there are fireworks going off up on the hill and, every direction. So I'm not sure what else we can do. And then the town of Walk Hill had their fireworks from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. So from the fairground, it was constant, along with the echoes from the city. And then the cities went on till about 1 a.m. So thank you, John Adams, for telling everyone to do that. I want to thank Don Paris for hanging in, our city treasurer, and not leaving us in the lurch as we're waiting to get someone else on board. So that's very good. I want to thank Janet Gallo for being willing to come back part-time to help us with payroll. So I'm glad they both stepped up. Was in the post office a couple days ago, and there were two like SUV trucks, and they were blocking in the people in the handicap zone. And then there's another truck in the handicap zone with no sticker, and there were cars going at each other because the arrows aren't there, and it is disgraceful. And maybe someday they'll do something about it, but we keep asking, and so far nothing. DPW's, as always, has done an amazing job, and some of the work, the paving work, is just so good. I mean, it's just amazing how they do it. So we're looking forward to have that done. The final thing I want to say is, this is July 6th. This is the exact 6-month anniversary of the attack on our Capitol, and I take that really seriously. I know the county as a body and the people individually in the county have never denounced what happened, never denounced an insurrection, trying to stop the peaceful transfer of power. And the delusion grows, the big lie grows, and so I just very quickly, Donald Trump, he lost in 2016, the popular vote. He lost overwhelmingly in 2018, never gained approval as a president, was behind in every poll, even the Fox News polls, mostly by double digits, right up to the election. It was called the most fair and successful election by all the experts and every security review and every audit and every review done. There were over 60 court challenges. All of them were dismissed or laughed out of court. None of those challenges in court claimed fraud, because in court you have to show evidence. There is no evidence. There's only propaganda. And, still keep hearing this QAnon. What is QAnon? Some mystery figure in the back, all-knowing, all-seeing. I mean, come on, people. And all this deep state garbage. It's our institutions that help us govern ourselves, and I thank all the election workers across the country who did such a great job. We are not a country based on mob rule, and that's what we saw that day. And so I just want to speak out and 6-month anniversary and say I am as appalled today and more so as I was that day. Thank you.
Alderman Jean-Francois.
Yes, piggyback on Alderman Kleiner's comment about the sparklers. I was watching the news this afternoon in New York City. There was a family of 8, actually. The house got hit with one of the sparklers. It caught on fire, and all the family members out on the street right now. Actually, one of them died. And this is a serious safety issue. Hopefully we get a hand of it for next year. It's definitely a concern. That's all I have. Thank you.
Alderman Burr.
First, I want to thank DPW for the fine job in First Ward getting all our blacktop done. Very fine job. I want to remind my constituents again, garbage is a day late, so please put it out on Thursday. And I think that's probably all I have this evening. Thank you.
And I got an apology. Jesus, John, I wish you're sitting right next to me, and I overlooked it. Please, do you have anything?
No, I don't. Thanks.
I
Thank you.
apologize. I'm getting old. Unfinished business.
Okay, nothing this evening.
New business.
Okay, we have a resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr, seconded by Alderman Tobin, to approve and authorize the mayor to sign an audit agreement with Troy and Banks, Inc. to audit cable franchise fees.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr, seconded by Alderman Tobin. Any comments, questions? Alderman Kleiner.
I just saw that on reading this agreement that if there are no fees collected, there are no charges to the city, so it looks like a good deal. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll.
Bram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Alderman Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin, second by Alderman Green, to approve an extension of time of 6 months for two resolutions dated May 4th, 98-21 and 98, it's 98-21 and 99-21 for the Presidential Heights Realty subdivision.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin, seconded by Alderman Green. Any comments or questions? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green, second by Alderwoman Ram Kasoon, to close any and all streets and intersections necessary for the Run for Downtown, Saturday, August 21st, 2021, beginning at 8 a.m.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green, seconded by Alderwoman Ram Kinsoon. Any comments, questions? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderwoman Ram Kasoon, second by Alderman Kleiner, to authorize the treasurer to accept a donation of $400 for the development of the disc golf course.
Resolution sponsored by Alderwoman Ram Kinsoon, seconded by Alderman Kleiner. Any comments, questions? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner, second by Alderman Burr, to authorize the acceptance of a grant in the amount of $15,250 from the New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services under the GIVE 2021-2022.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner, seconded by Alderman Burr. Any comments, questions? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr, second by Alderman Tobin, to approve the CapEx plan for 2021 to 2022.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr, seconded by Alderman Tobin. Any comments, questions? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin, second by Alderman Green, authorizing various capital items in and for the city at a total maximum cost of $885,864, and authorizing the issuance of $885,864 bonds to pay the costs.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin, seconded by Alderman Green. Any comments, questions? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye. Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr, second by Alderwoman John Francois, to approve and authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with ChargePoint for the payments of the EV charging stations.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any comments,
I have a question.
questions? Alderman Tobin.
Just real quick, where are the EV charging stations going to be? Are they going to?
Right there.
I know.
The charging station, I'm sorry. The charging stations, they are across from the motor vehicle department.
Oh, okay.
We have two of them, and that's what you are voting on tonight.
Okay.
Right.
And there is going to be two more across from the Paramount Theater later on. They're not constructed yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, second by Alderman Green, to approve and authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with RBT to review the city's American Rescue Plan.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, seconded by Alderman Green. Any comments, questions? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. That's all for new business.
Local laws.
Nothing this evening.
Audit.
Mr. President, I move the accounts to be audited, the claims to be adjusted, and the city treasurer to be authorized to issue warrants for their payments.
Resolution by Alderman Burr, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any comments, questions? Roll.
Reb Kassoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
Resolution passes.
Motion to adjourn. So moved.